5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello? What? Kip? What? Kip, are you there?
Hello. Good to see you.
Did you ever have a phone like this?
Is that one of those bag phones?
Yes. This is the OG iPhone.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a flip phone with an antenna, but can never say I had a bag phone.
You're a young whippersnapper. So Kip, the Kipper, Kip Wolf, as you're known when you perform music.
Many aliases. Very confusing to keep up with all the different aliases.
We won't get into the names that Emma probably calls you, but
that'd be good.
Kip, the father of 2 handsome pups, and the father of a 5-month-old.
Yes, November 12th. So whatever that date is, I'm not good with math, but whatever that date is, that's when he was born. So
yes, amazing, about 5 months. Daddy Kip,
crazy.
Yeah, and you're currently living in where? North Carolina somewhere?
So it is a place that's 30 minutes east of Asheville. It's called Old Fort. I commonly refer to it as Old Fart. So
you watch your mouth.
I love it here in the
Watch
Old
your
Fart.
Mouth.
Okay, sorry.
This is a kid show.
I'm sorry. It's just what it is.
God,
Old Fart,
Lee, man. I can't trust you. I can't take you anywhere.
Sorry, I should have said the F word.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is not a glass of moo, by the way. It's a glass of water. Because moo is not good when you're talking a lot or singing. So Kip, you can find Kip on Spotify, which is pretty cool. I don't have many friends that have music currently on Spotify, so that's awesome. Under Kip Wolf, but it's with an E at the end, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so Kip Wolfie on Spotify, and you can hear all his jams and tunes.
Yeah, thank you for saying that too. I don't have a lot of friends that have a podcast, and I also don't have a lot of friends that could do a kickflip over someone laying on the ground. So we all have our things. Yes.
Yes, sir. So Kip and I know each other. We've known each other for a minute, probably 6 or 7 years, and worked together for 4.5 years.
Crazy.
And a lot of shenanigans. Slept on a roof at one point, on cots. Lots of adventures. But here we are. You resigned from your position where we both worked about a year ago and pursued it's time to branch out. You had gotten married. You know what I just realized? This is crazy. So earlier today, I interviewed my friend from high school, Matt, and he talked about the moment that made him.
Okay.
And now I'm interviewing you. I performed both of y'all's weddings.
Really?
Like I was the
yes.
and his
Him
wedding
too.
wasn't an overtly like faith-based wedding. It was out in San Diego at a hotel, like this really cool hotel in San Diego, and it was right by the pool. But I performed the wedding for him and Val. Wow. And then I performed the wedding for you and Emma. I just realized that. That's
it's cool. Also wild.
It's not like I'm going around doing weddings all the time.
Yeah, it's not your like main job. It is wild that we probably spent almost every day together for a solid 3 or 4 years, and we have probably talked once every couple weeks the past year. But it's crazy to think we've known each other for as long as we have, and then just to go from being able to hang out every day to not. It's kind of sad, but we have a lot to talk about. A lot of things to cover.
For sure. But tonight, we're just talking about one moment for you, Mr. Kip. And so let's get into it. So I already mentioned you are a musician and very talented musician.
Thank you.
and singer, songwriter, performer, et cetera, seen you do your thing live many, many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Always impressed, always a good time. And so your moment that you were thinking about digesting together
Mm-hmm.
would be like, were you into music a lot when you were in like elementary school, middle
Yeah.
school? Because the moment that you wanted to talk about, at what age did that moment happen?
Yeah.
Before we get into it, like, what age were you?
So the age of the moment was in high school.
High school. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to like elementary school, middle school. Were you like
Kip.
in a were you like in a musical family? Like, how did music become like part of in your blood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad was very much so plugged into music. He was a pianist, and honestly, not by trade. He is a doctor by trade, but one of the most talented pianists I've ever seen in my entire life. And he doesn't let people know that a lot, but wrote so many songs throughout college, classical pieces. He just 5 years ago put out a solo album of all the music he's made over his whole life, which I pushed him to do. But yeah, you should listen to it. This is a quick plug. Expressive Reflections by Ray Georgeson on Spotify.
Expressive Reflections. It's on Spotify?
Yes.
Okay, you're sending me the link later.
I will. So he got me into playing the piano when I was in like third grade. I played classical piano. My mom is not like super musical. I think she played the flute in high school. But, I think it was more so when I started branching out from classical piano when I learned that, man, you can play like music that you enjoy and you can create music that you enjoy. You don't have to just read the sheet music and perform it for an audience. Like I just never knew the limitless potential that you could have with the creative aspect of music. So,
right. Yeah. So interesting. So when you were like, did you ever sing in the shower? Did you ever, like, when did you discover you had pipes?
That is so funny. I don't know if I ever thought that I could sing. It was, I think when I was like 15, 16 in school, I started leading praise and worship in my school. I went to a small private Christian school. And I think, other people said, that wasn't bad. Wow, that was decent. And I think from that moment on, it was something where I just took people's advice and was like, okay, I'll try this. And looking back, it's fascinating because I truly think that there was some just empathy involved with those people being kind, because maybe I had a little bit of natural talent, but it's just wild, like how much work is involved in order to get to the level where you really can do something at a high level. Because I was not good when I first started. I was trash when I first started listening back to stuff. Horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's, the same with any kind of thing. I mean, I don't know, with skateboarding, like something you've done your whole life. I was skateboarding at one point. I mean, of course you got to put in hours, and they say 10,000 hours makes you a pro at something.
Yeah. So when you were doing this thing at your small Christian school, was this before the moment that we're going to talk about? So it's before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you had learned, you're maybe like a freshman or sophomore in high school at this point?
So yeah, it's like
you had learned to play guitar or piano or, okay.
So we go from like middle school, or so elementary school, playing piano, got tired of playing classical piano for an audience, was like, hey, I want to learn chords and songs. So I joined the praise team to play piano. And as embarrassing as it is, it's the truth. And we're telling the truth here. I 100% learned how to play the guitar when I was 16 so that girls would like me. It was 100% just something where I thought you can't really carry a piano to like a campfire, but you can carry a guitar. You know what I mean? I mean, you could.
That's the reason. That's the reason I wanted to learn to play guitar. But similar. So I won't say that is similar though. But I learned to play guitar at 19, because I was visiting my sister in Washington State. We were out on the Puget Sound, beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And we we're like right on the water. And I was with my older sister and some of her friends who were older. It was very foreign territory for me because I was from the East Coast, and then I was out visiting her for a month when I was 19 that summer, after my freshman year in college. And this guy, Michael Light, that was his name. He had like long hair. This is the birthplace of grunge and stuff. We were in that like part of the world.
Oh yeah.
And he had a guitar, and there's like 7 or 8 of us around a campfire, and he's just like whipping things out, and someone's like, "Oh, can you play blah blah blah?" And he's just like playing like all sorts of random things, like the Scooby-Doo theme song. And someone's like, "Oh, sick, can you play this theme song?" And he's like, "Hold on, oh, here it is." And he's like, playing whatever it was. And then someone else requests something, and I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be able to do that. Like sit around in a living room, sit around on the back porch, sit down at the beach. People are around. They're like, "Oh, can you play?" And that's what my goal was. And so similar but different, because I wasn't trying to catch some honeys.
Hey,
I was just trying to get the monies. I don't know.
That was full circle right there. You know,
full circle.
I think if you learn how to play the Scooby-Doo theme song on the guitar, you've ultimately reached a level of clout, a level of expertise that no one
not easy
can get to. I mean, that's amazing. That's so funny. There you are. I lost you kind of for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really. Fast forward. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and fast forward to the moment so we can really, really attack this. So you're 16, 17, whatever, in high school, midway through high school. And the moment you wanted to talk about is a moment that you discovered what?
Yes. So if anyone's ever played Rock Band, the really cheesy game where you can, of course, Guitar Hero, Rock Band were
most
huge
people have played it
when I was a kid. And that was actually how I got into rock music, was Guitar Hero, Rock Band. But Rock Band came with this microphone that you could plug into the Wii or whatever you played on, and so when you sang a song, it would tell you if you were on pitch or whatever, depending on the songs. Well,
oh, cool.
I wasn't aware that you could take a USB, the microphone from Rock Band, you could plug it into your computer, and you could actually record like your voice. You could record yourself singing things. And I had never, this was before I knew about audio equipment or any kind of the world of how did Michael Jackson make the song Thriller, and how did this person record this in the studio. And I never really knew that you could actually, in our day and age, I mean, back when I was in high school, I'm 27 now, so I was probably about 17. You could do pretty much anything that someone could do in a studio on your computer, just through a audio workstation. And that was the moment that when I plugged in the Rock Band microphone to GarageBand and maybe recorded something really horrible, I found it was limitless potential for creating anything. Even if it was like me narrating a book, I just had no clue that you could record something and then edit it and do all these crazy things. And then that led to me learning, even with GarageBand, you had these little loops with sounds and instruments that you could put in there, and I'd make little songs. But then you could combine that with stuff that you even record. You could plug guitars and you could record your guitar through the mic. You could do all these different things. So
cool.
Anyway, it was just a moment where I had no clue that some of actually the biggest songs in the world have been recorded on GarageBand. So I just didn't know that.
Yeah. So did you share this passion with anyone else, or were you just like locked in like a hermit, like just doing this on your own? Or were you like, Mom, listen to this, Dad, listen to this, like your sister, your brothers, like were you at all public about this, or were you just like, no, go ahead?
No, yeah. So I think in general, whenever I was that age, no one where I lived, I was in a kind of small town. Nobody really knew anything about what I was doing. I knew a lot about playing music live in front of people, but no one knew anything about recording and what that entailed. And the only thing that really had information was YouTube. And so I would say mostly a hermit. I think my stepbrother would come in and he would work with me sometimes, and we'd try to make horrible sounding dubstep songs or horrible, Skrillex stuff that just didn't sound good at all. But that was, I think it was definitely at first like hermit, learning how to do things, spending hours trying to perfect and learn different techniques. And it just became like a passion. Yeah.
So was this, did you pretty quickly just get obsessed with this? Or did it kind of gradually happen?
I would say obsessed. And then as I got to kind of high school, I was really at the end, I would say junior, senior year, doing a lot of recording of covers of other people's music. And then I think when I got into college, that was when I got my own laptop. I had never had my own laptop. That was partially why this was such a big deal, was because I had recorded this stuff on this computer that my mom had, this home desktop. But when I got to college, I then got the power of that in my hands, and I could learn how to make beats. I started Googling like people who made different beats. There was so many different people that are kind of low key, you'd never hear about, that are making these massive songs. And they're potentially doing it on their laptop. You can create any of these things through just your laptop by yourself and having some imagination and creativity. And that to me was just the coolest thing ever, that you could do that.
And when did you make the jump from GarageBand to like Pro Tools or something?
Yeah.
Like more like, whoa, that's next level now.
So when I first started, it was GarageBand. And I mean, a lot of artists will use GarageBand still. It's a great program. You can do anything in it. I use a program called Logic Pro 10, which is just like the big brother to GarageBand. It has the same interface and layout as GarageBand, but it's just like a steroidized version of GarageBand. And I started using Logic, probably made the switch in college when I started learning more in depth how to use these programs, because they are digital audio workstations, and you could have, there are people whose full-time job is to spend time in audio workstations editing sounds and mixing them and mastering songs and doing all these things. They're full-time careers. So you could really get lost learning things. And I would say at this point, I've probably passed the 10,000 hour mark. I'd say college was kind of the years where I started developing that 10,000 hours, just putting in time sitting by myself with headphones on or recording in my closet. I'd actually put my microphone in my closet. But it all stemmed from that moment in high school when I got back from a concert that I was very inspired by, and started doing research about music, and found that you could plug this in and make your own. And I thought that was incredible.
Yeah. Phil Wickham, right? Phil Wickham concert?
Yes. It was a show that was very small, and it was Phil Wickham performing in this very small, like kind of almost, it was kind of this church that felt industrial. There's like these metal walls. You're in this kind of concrete slab floor that you have, and we're all in this area, and he's got his guitar. And what I thought was amazing was that he did the whole concert with, I don't know if anyone knows what a capo is, but like the thing you slide on the guitar to change.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you play guitar, Mike, like you would use a capo, right? To change keys or get to you're singing a different song.
Sure. But I know it's frowned upon for like professionals that are like using a capo.
Yeah.
Like Dave Matthews, you see Dave Matthews doing like all these like insane like chord structures.
Insane.
Someone like that would never use a capo. Like it's just like, because it does the same. It does the same thing as just barring the strings with your pointer finger. but that gets very exhausting. And some people just don't have the strength or
Yeah.
long enough fingers. Maybe you got dainty little fingers. So a capo
Yeah.
is a game changer for you. You're like little mini sausages. Then you like,
That's so
what do
funny.
you do?
So that was I was going to say with Phil Wickham, that was the thing that blew my mind, was he did not use a capo the entire time, was playing these incredible chords, just him and his guitar, but was captivating for the entire hour and 30 minutes. There was never a moment where it was not insane to see him do that as like a one-man show. And that was amazing to me.
So cool. So when you think about music now, and maybe it's changed over the years, when you think about music, are you a purist in that? Because a lot of people give music a hard time when they're like, oh, that was just all made in like fake studio, like a drum, like you just make a drum noise.
That sucks.
Instead of like actually having a drum in front of you and a cymbal, and you're like, and recording that onto a track. And like, how do you process that when it becomes so robotic?
Yeah.
Does it lose something?
Yes.
Or is it just
as
much music as natural instruments, or making real noises like this instead of doing like a clap button on your computer, you know?
So that's such a fascinating question, because so many artists have thought about what you've just talked about, even the fact that we've developed computers and electronics in a way where they're smarter than us. And one of the things with music that's very interesting is when you get into the concept of, you know, making sure that everything is perfectly on tempo. So if you have a song that's this tempo, you know, this is your click, and you try to make everything perfectly sync to that, you actually find a lot of the time that it doesn't feel right. And a lot of the time the human error actually adds a lot to a recording. And so it's great to have, obviously there's samples of different instruments online. You can find any sample of any sound that was ever used for any record. I could go find the sample that Drake used for his 808s on his last project, or his snare sounds or whatever. But I think what's cool about it is, actually Adam Young from Owl City talked about how recording your own sounds is really neat, because no one can replicate that. If you record a sound right here, right now, no one in the world will ever be able to take that from you unless you share it with other people. It's yours, and you can know that you're the only one that has that. And that's a neat thing. That's uniqueness. You know, everybody's got their own unique thing they can bring to the table in that regard. Which
is one reason why I love this podcast idea, because everyone's got their own stories.
Yes.
That aren't they aren't anyone else's. They might be similar. There might be similar threads, but it's your story. I was thinking about this with public speaking, because there's public speakers that they'll just curate other material and other like quotes from, well, this person said this, and in this book it says this, and when I was reading this book it had these 9 points, and I'm like, but where's your information? Like the stuff that you have created, not curated. Maybe that's the 2 words here of I'm curating something rather than creating it like from nothing. And so when you share your own stories, when you're public speaking, and it's something that you have experienced, there's no one that can claim a copyright infringement. Hey, you stole my material. You got to give me credit, or that ain't cool, because you're like, no, this literally happened to me. I fell off my bike and bonked my head and whatever.
Yes.
So creating compared to curating is maybe the key here.
Absolutely. You find that people, I think, connect a lot more too with you seem more passionate about things that you've had authentically happen to you uniquely. And sometimes people relate to not having the exact same experience, but maybe feeling the same emotion you felt, or having the same outlook on a situation that you might have gone through. And I think that's, as human beings, why it's so fascinating to have people, even something you might not know anything about, but to learn about someone's experience and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that this, and this were attributed to that. and I can relate to those things a lot.
Right. Yeah. So we only got a couple minutes left, but I'm curious, when did you first so you released music out onto YouTube. Was that the first public place that you're like, here we go?
Oh, brother.
Anybody can listen to this. Was it YouTube, Spotify? Was it YouTube came first before Spotify?
So yes, YouTube, and a lot of this was because, and I think this could be said for a lot of things, but I just was ignorant to knowing anything about how to do anything. I didn't know. I didn't even know at 16 years old that you could record music into a program on your computer. And then I didn't know you could buy an actual professional microphone. And I didn't know that you could take guitars and record them. And I didn't know you could find sounds on the internet that you put in. And that's how people make. I just didn't know any of these things. And so it's like you learn each thing as you go. And I think YouTube at the time was a very, now it's of course very popular. It keeps growing. But at the time when I was about 17, it was, the surface level, kind of like it is today. Just everybody would use it to express whatever they had to show. And so, I started with covers, some of which are not on YouTube anymore. But it was, and some of them were horrible, I'm sure. But it was great to.
Oh, I've seen some.
Oh, no.
I'll link it in the show notes.
Oh,
just
man.
kidding. Just
got
kidding.
The archive.
JK.
No, we'll show it. Let them see it.
Kipper, let's take this thing in for a landing. But what do you got cooking now? Like, after all these years, are you still just as much in your own lab creating and having ideas, or has it kind of died down some? I mean, you got a kid now, you're married, you got a full-time job.
It's a great question.
Like, are you just as passionate now? And maybe it's just like, at this point in my life, I just literally don't have the time or the bandwidth that I used to. But where are you at right now as we speak with music?
Yeah. Oh man, I think it's always going to be a part of me. I mean, I will be asleep and have an idea in my brain that I go, oh my gosh, this would be so neat to try to do this. Or, I think each person's different, and for you in skateboarding, you're never going to stop skateboarding because it's a way to maybe express, maybe to, you had a bad day, so you go skate and it makes you feel better. I think music for me is a way to, a lot of the time when I make a song, I think I will be shocked because 30 minutes later, I've made an entire, body of work, or maybe it takes 2 hours, but sometimes it just happens so quickly. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, and you find that you talk about things that you didn't even know you were thinking about. Like if I will sing a line, I will find sometimes like, oh wow, that was something I wanted to express, or maybe something I'm dealing with in my life right now. And the way for me to deal with it was to kind of say it and put it into a song, and then go back later and go, oh wow, that was what I was feeling at that moment. I didn't even realize maybe, but absolutely. To answer your question, I'm definitely working on music. It's something I always will be working on. I love helping my friends make songs. I do a lot of production for my friends. I do a lot of recording for them. I'm currently working on something for myself, an album that I've been working on for the last 2 or 3 years, just a passion project. And that will be something actually that thankfully is wrapping up. So I'll be releasing like singles going forward this year, probably for that. It is one of those things where I wish I had every second of every day to do it. But I find too that whenever I step away, it gives me more to say. When I come back in the studio, or when I come back to record something, I have a lot to express. So
love it.
Yeah. What about Leia? Is she cooking some stuff up right there behind you?
Leia back there? She's cooking. She's cooking. Next time we do this, we'll talk all about Star Wars. Like the first time you watched Star Wars and it changed your life. The moment that made you.
That would be the second moment that made me.
What a nerd.
I want to know the moment that made you.
Oh, maybe we'll reverse it one day, Kipper.
Yes.
Maybe.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some doozies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet. I've heard most all of them, I think.
You probably have heard most of them. All right, Kip. Let's take it in for a landing. It's been great. Obviously, always good to see you, my friend.
Too, man.
God bless you and your little baby.
Thank you.
And your wife. And your life in Old Fart, North Carolina.
He said it.
He said it. All right, dude. Talk soon.
Hey, thank you. Bye.
Yep. Later.